What's cracking, y'all? I am James Hahn II of TribeRocket.com, and this is the tutorial for how to build awesome relationships with the speakers at Social Media Marketing World. Now, you probably never knew, you probably never heard of me. That's perfectly fine. I work in a little business called the Oil Business. I'm from Detroit, Michigan. I live in Houston, Texas now. Represent H-Town what? I hit up my boy, Mr. J. Baer, and I asked him if it would be okay if I put together a little tutorial for y'all to show you how to build relationships with the speakers and using him as the case study, if you will. So I hoped that this wouldn't come off as unbelievably creepy, because I do have records of all of my contacts and communications with Jay Baer and Mark Schaefer and Marcus Sheridan and some other people, Mark Stelzner and so forth. Why? Well, when I was a young child, my daddy was in sales, and he used to listen to a man called Les Brown. And Les Brown used to say, "Your network is your net worth." And so, for whatever reason, that stuck with me throughout my whole life. And then when I got into business, it started to bubble up, and I learned that I had this knack for networking. And whoa, see, I told you H-Town, you got to watch out. Anyway, so I had this knack for networking, and especially networking with thought leaders and influencers and building relationships with people that have influence and people whose voices really matter. And so I wanted to share with you, the attendee of Social Media Marketing World 2015, how this is done. Because the truth is, Social Media Marketing World 2013 changed my life because of what I'm about to show you. And I'm doing this because I can't be there this year. I learned so much from Social Media Marketing World 2013 and Social Media Marketing 2014 World 2014 that I now run my own successful business, and I can't be there because I've got to go renew an account in Shreveport, Louisiana. So that's why we're here, folks, and stick with me. I might ramble a little bit, and I'll try to narrow it down, but anybody, Jay and all the rest of the guys can attest that I'm a man of a few thousand words. But that said, let's get started. All right, so this post right here is one I wrote that kind of breaks down the whole philosophy, but it's really skims the surface. And I work in an oil business. Typically, happy hour is not really encouraged. Kind of like television watching for entrepreneurs, but happy hour in the oil business, that's where you can build some relationships. And so I had this, but how to build business relationships online. I mean, it really applies no matter what industry you're in, especially if you're at Social Media Marketing World 2015. And so I've got these steps here: work the room, circle up, blah, 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 blah. And I've got some other things happening here that I would be tempted to explain the tactics in play. But let's jump past that and jump right into how in the heck am I wearing this one-of-a-kind utility t-shirt from Mr. J. Baer, and how I became his friend and all these other guys, and why you have to be strategic about using your time and using it very wisely, and who you spend your time with at Social Media Marketing World. Because let's go back to what I just said. If your network is your net worth, your network is your net worth. Now, the attendees at Social Media Marketing World all paid to come there. Listen about that. They all paid to come there. The speakers, now I don't know Mike's business model. I assume he pays the speakers. I don't know. They're all his friends, of course, as well. But the speakers did not pay. In a lot of cases, they're probably getting paid to be there. So if our network is our net worth, should we spend time trying to get to know the people that paid to come or the people that are paid to be there? In my case, I've always found it much better to go with the people that are paid to be there, because they are the influencers, and they honestly are the people that I'm trying to model in my business and eventually surpass. What, Jay? So here we go. All right, check this out. I've got this whole screen flow, and I was like, yo, Jay, I hope this isn't unbelievably spooky and creepy, because I actually document my interactions. And I might have mentioned that already. So let's go. Twitter. Yes, I'm crazy. I actually searched Twitter. I got all my tweets here. This is the beginning. This is the very first tweet I ever sent to Jay on August 10th, 2010. Just finished listening to all 28 episodes of the Social Pros podcast in about 2 weeks. Jay Baer is a flippin' genius. I mean, I don't think any of us could actually argue with that. And just a little backstory, I had just been given the role as social media manager at this company that I was working at called Drilling Info. And so I'm the type of cat that if I'm going to be drawing a line, I'm going to find out who draws the straightest line, how they draw that line, what techniques are involved, what tactics. I'm just going to steal from the best. So I found Jay's podcast and I dug in. And then, next, again, October 2012, no, actually November. Then I jump in on this sort of inside joke thing that him and Eric Boggs had going. Sure, y'all saw this week, but it has, social media stat of the week written all over it. So social media stat of the week is something that is modified, and it still happens on the Social Pros podcast. But back in the day, Eric Boggs did the social media stat of the week. And so I was listening to continuing to listen to these podcasts, and you can tell, kind of my first tweet was like, fandom, and we're going to talk about that a little bit, the difference between a fan and a friend, and how to stay out of the fan zone. But right here, talking to Jay and Eric like they're my boys, right? And then continuing in December, whatever. And by the way, noticed that this is not a daily thing. This is not a weekly thing. This is not a cyber stalking situation, because we want to stay out of the fan zone, and we also don't need any arrest warrants or restraining orders. We want the person to feel that we're becoming a member of their tribe, that we're having a conversation with them, not that we're stalking them incessantly, because we want to become friends with them, right? But they have a lot of people vying for their attention, and this is where everyone goes wrong. They send Jay a tweet or any number of influencers that say, hey, can I pick your brain? The truth is, and we'll show this later, you can, once they're your friend. And that's what you have to do. You have to take time to build these relationships. So as we saw here, November, December, it's just not. Then again in January, I guess I sort of had and by the way, here's a tweet that has humor involved in it, and also noting the remarkable weight loss that Jay went through at the time. So I just hit him with, who's the skinny hipster masquerading as Jay Baer in this content world video? And he replied and said it was I don't know. I think, can we see it there? Oh man, I pressed the wrong button. It's probably screwing everything up now. Oh, there he goes. Ha. So again, I'm just every now and again, hey, check this out. Hey, this is funny. But the thing is that I'm talking to him like he's a person, right? I'm not talking to him like I'm a fanboy and he is in some other universe, right? And then this is something actually that happened right after the Lance Armstrong thing. And so I this is back, if you remember way back in January 2013 when newsjacking was the hot new thing. I hit Jay with this one, and because it just smacked of just kind of, maybe a little too soon. I'd say that now we can make some Lance Armstrong jokes, but this was a little was a little bit much at the time. But again, this is just, just talking to him just like he's my boy, like he's my buddy, quoting him here and there. And then, and then also, in addition to Twitter, I'm also on his blog, right? And Copy Blogger, I don't know how to build a relationship with Brian Clark anymore, and it's still a plan of mine, but he shut down his comments, so I don't know what to do about that. But so this is even 2 years ago, and this is back when Jay is talking about a few different controversies of the day, and so I come in here and I dig it. I'd like to see a video on Discuss versus Live Fire and why you made the switch, because if you remember way back then, it was this. Some people had Live Fire, some people had Discuss, and there was this sort of rift in. And I guess it was sort of the Beta Max versus VHS, or Blu-ray versus whatever they're called now. But regardless, I jumped in on that conversation, not with some lengthy tome, as I am accustomed to write, as Jay and other people can talk about, but just with something really casual. I dig it. Hey, I'd like to see this. Now, in addition to doing that, though, then also, there's another point to be made here, which is that I listened to all of his podcasts, and I became a true student of his because I knew that he had knowledge that I wanted, that I needed to be successful. And so I absorbed all of the information in his podcast and Mike Stelzner's and everybody else that you're here to see right now at Social Media Marketing World 2015. And so here is actually an example of an email called a Monday Morning Motivation email that I sent when I was tasked with pretty much content social media slave guy. And I say that jokingly. It was my intention to do what I did with this opportunity, but you could even see down here it says technical writer. So I was still doing technical writing officially at this time, but I was sending out these emails to keep everyone engaged and involved. And I'm quoting Jay in the emails, and I'm quoting it from the Now Revolution, which is that's way back in the day at this point, right? But the point is that I didn't just add him as a friend on Facebook and send him a message and say, hey. Because I have people do that to me a lot, right? They add me as a friend on Facebook because they see me post all over the place. Now, these are oil and gas people, but they're usually millennials and not from America, but they're just, hey, because they want to chat. Where are you from? I actually have a blog and a website and an about page on this very profile that you could look at. So it's kind of like, well, I'm doing all of this work to help the world know who I am and what I'm about. You could do a little research, right? Well, again, here I am. I'm being a student and sharing the good news, if you will. And so jumping forward now up to last year. And so this is just a post that Jay did about the virtuous circle of mentorship. And at this point, I think a year ago that would have been 2015-14. So at this point, we got a decent friendship going on. But going back to 2012, and this is again right when I was fresh into the whole, absorbing all the information that I can. And so here it is, Mike Stelzner, question of the day: do you listen to podcasts? That is so hilarious. August 27th, 2012. Do you listen to podcasts? It almost sounds like, do you have like a microwave? To us bleeding edge early adopter types that come to these conferences. But so, do you listen to podcasts? If so, where do you listen most? Where do you listen most often? And so I'm jumping in here, and that's my newer picture. Obviously, back in the day it was different. So I'm always excited to listen to Jay Baer's Social Pros podcast every Friday morning, and that was back then when he was doing Fridays. And I think since it's Wednesdays now, I believe, because most people have found that that's the highest content consumption day. So again, I'm building this relationship over time. I've never even met Jay yet. I haven't met Jay yet, but I'm in his world. I'm treating him like a human being. I'm acting like a human being, because the truth is we're both just people. right? We're both just people. But obviously he has a lot of people in his world, and so it's a slow drip over time that I'm using to try to make it into that circle of friends. And then he goes and releases Utility, which, I've got the t-shirt and everything. I've got the sign. I should have grabbed the signed book and everything, but I bought it right away because I love his philosophy. But the thing that happened is that I went and wrote this review right here, July 28th, 2013. Baer ruined my life. So, with a little saying I used to say, which is still true: if it's not spam, it's not spam if you're adding value. That's maybe another time to dig into that. But regardless, once upon a time I was a budding young marketer. Sorry, one of my lights turned off. Once upon a time I was a budding young marketer who really seemed to be going places. I was making great connections, dreaming big, and building a passionate online community for one of the largest intelligence companies in the oil and gas industry. I even had hopes of eventually going it alone when I wrote my marketing magnum opus someday. It was obviously, so you can see, I'm just trying to make Jay laugh. That's my goal, and being way over the top. But behind every joke there's a truth, and there's truth here, which is, it was going to be a be all end all of marketing books. I would concisely yet thoroughly demonstrate the amazing upside potential companies have when they stop focusing on themselves and start focusing on adding value to the lives of their customers. Blah blah, and goes on, and the times I'd lay awake and all this ridiculousness, right? But I basically I conclude right here. Sadly, on June 27th, I received the heartbreaking news that Baer had already written that book, the book that I plan to write. It turns out he summed up my entire marketing philosophy in 240 pages, stating everything I had ever dreamed to be true about marketing better than I could ever possibly have done myself, and so forth. He then wrapped this book in a nice little bow, gave it a catchy title, and crushed all of my hopes and dreams. So thanks for nothing, Jay. You've relegated me to a life of stealing your ideas, which I guess is fine. It's been working so far. And it's true. I steal everyone's ideas. Jay's, Mark Schaefer's, Mark Sheridan's, Mike Stelzner's, everybody that's on that stage, I steal all of their ideas. And I encourage you to do the same. Don't steal their content. Steal their ideas, their tactics. No content stealing, though, darn it. So at any rate, actually I got an email from Jay on this, and it was like 1 a.m. He emailed me. He said, best review ever, or best book review ever, or something like that. And I was fired up because I wanted to, again, get a little bit, further along in his world. And actually, this is right before Social Media Marketing World 2013. And so I went there, Social Media Marketing World 2013. It was an amazing event. It literally changed my life, and I actually have a post coming that I've already written. Poor Derek Halpern had to actually see it in an email. He probably didn't read it. Not that he's a friend of mine. I can't claim Derek Halpern is a friend of mine. I've only bothered him in email a couple times with 2 emails that are too long. But I do that for everybody. So regardless, I go to Social Media Marketing World. I meet Jay. You have to remember now. So the Social Media Marketing World, that happened. Well, no, that was March 2013. So yeah, that actually book review was after I met him in person for the first time. And when I met him in person for the first time, I shook his hand and he asked me a question. He said, "What do you think of the podcast?" And I gave him a true answer, which was at the time that it was a great podcast. However, ... And I had a few different things that, based on all of the other podcasts I was listening to steal ideas from, that I thought would make a little smoother transition, throughout his. Anyway, regardless, I talked to him like I was a person and he was a person, and we had a real conversation of real people. And that is a point that I have to stop at right now, because at Social Media Marketing World 2015, all of you every single one of you is going to be tempted to go stand in line with 100 to 200 other people to meet Chris Brogan and all the rest of and not that I have anything against Chris, okay? Let's make that clear. This ain't a beef. No shots fired. The point is that that's not where you build relationships, by standing in line, shaking a hand, and being like, I'm your biggest fan. Because if you do that, you end up in the fan zone, which is kind of like the friend zone with the guys and the girls, but it's different. Because once an influencer sees you as a fan, you're a fan. And I've actually made that mistake with the great Chris Widener. I let my respect for Jim Rohn and my fandom sort of bubble up a little too quickly, and I've been trying to recover from that for a while. So regardless, I don't know. That's another thing as well. But so here's the point, though. I met him in person. I shook his hand. We talked. He gave me his business card, which is the stainless steel, the ever famous. I should have grabbed it. The ever famous stainless steel beer bottle opener. Hopefully, you will get one this week from him. Although his pockets are pretty heavy, and he tries to unload them pretty quickly. So run up on him. Just don't wait in the line. See. So I met him. And then later at 2013, he was coming to speak in Dallas, and that's actually where I was living at the time, up in North Texas. I was actually in Fort Worth, but besides the point, he was coming to speak at Social Media Club, I think it is, Social Media Club. And I'm sorry, I spend way too much time working behind this computer, so I don't get out much to network. I do a lot of my networking online. Well, I guess maybe we can debate the merits of that, but regardless, I'm here to teach you how to do this online. So let's talk about that, offline to online. So he was coming to speak at Social Media Club in Dallas. And I had met him then. It had been however many months since I met him. We talked a little bit, but still, I don't know. He's Jay. He's got a lot of people, that are sort of in his tribe, and a lot of people that are demanding for his time. And so I don't know if he remembers me or anything like that. And of course, I'm steeped in the whole idea of utility at this point, because it's my philosophy, just sort of verbalized and in sort of excellent terms. And so I know he's coming, and so the day of his arrival, or maybe the day before, or whatever it is, I say, "Good morning, Jay." So I sent him this email. I said, "Given that you're a bona fide barbecue connoisseur, by the way, I know that. Why? Because I listen to all of his podcasts. So if he gets an email from me saying, I know that you're a certified pit judge, though he clearly has no respect regarding for the rule of law." See, now this is only something that someone actually who listens to his podcast will know that story, because he got kicked out of being a judge because, he's a scofflaw. Let's just be honest. He's a scofflaw. And so I thought it would be the most fitting to share with you the best places to feast upon heavenly brisket in the city we Americans call Dallas. And so I went out there on Yelp and I did the digging, and I found all of these places that in a couple, one maybe, down here, Fred's Texas Cafe. If you ever go to Fort Worth and you don't get bacon cheese fries at Fred's Texas Cafe, that is a serious mistake, okay? It's a serious mistake. It's a life mistake. It's something not that you should go to confession for, but it's something that you will regret in the end. So they might speed up your progression toward the end, but get some bacon cheese fries at Fred's Texas Cafe. That's all I got to say. All right. But regardless, I did the digging. I sent him this email, and, I said, all right, that should, that should pack your most precise palate with, piquant pleasure. And, I using the thesaurus. I'm not that smart, right? Pleasure for the next 24 to 40 hours. Hope you have a chance to get out and take in at least one good plate, right? So I'm talking to him, barbecue lingo, whatever. I'm a foodie. My brother's a chef, Regardless, this is utility, right? This is utility. This is being helpful. Hey, you're only here for 24 to 48 hours. If you are going to eat anywhere, here is a handful of places that you should seriously consider, right? And so I emailed that to him. This is remarkable. Thanks so much. See you tonight, right? And by the way, this is right after I had purchased my domain for triberocket.com. And so actually, I'm going to grab this. I'll be right back. So I walk in. Social Media Club is the name because I have it right here. This is my projector, and this is the name tag. Okay, I saved it because this is the first name tag that I ever wrote my company's name on. so I slapped it on the right. On the left, because see, that's networking tip. Social media marketing people. Right here, not here. Why? Because you shake people's hand with their right hand, and then this way they can look up and see right here. Wait, actually, no, it is this side. Yeah, because most people are right-handed and they put it right here. So I'm sorry, I mixed that up. You use your left hand and put it right here because when you shake hands, then people look straight at your name tag. That's just a little tip. Regardless, I saved this thing. So I walk in, I write my name down, I write triberocket.com down, and my big dream at the time, this is my big dream, was to possibly write a guest post. Now I still haven't done it, but that's neither here nor there. That's not because he doesn't like me. He did say I could do this, but regardless, I walk in, go up the stairs, fill out my name tag, put it on, and then I go in and I see Jay surrounded by a whole circle of people. And I'm thinking, oh man, does he remember me? Because, I've been doing this, over time. And, we met that one time. What's going to happen here? And so my big goal is to ask him if I can guest post. And so as soon as I walk in, he breaks away from the circle because it's sort of that conversation ended. He turns and he looks and he goes, oh, hey, James. Good to see you again. How you doing? Shakes my hand. Tribe Rocket. Man, it's a great name. Thanks, man. You think I could guest post sometime? Yeah, no problem. Just, email my girl. And that was it. Like my head spun because it was that easy. But the fact is that it shouldn't be surprising, right? Because I took the time, over time, to build that relationship. I mean, we're talking November. Now we're in November 2013. This has been going on for over a year at this point. And then even continuing into obviously 2014 when he hit the 100 mark on the Social Pros podcast, and then Eric Boggs coming back because I had made a joke. I couldn't find my joke that I made, but he was referencing it there. But regardless, this is how it's done. This is how it's done. It's not done by standing in a line and then excitingly going, "Oh my gosh, Jay!" I won't name the name, but another friend of mine, because I didn't get permission. So Jay's the only one I said that I could use him as a case study. But another friend of mine said that that was a speaker is often a speaker at these events. He had this woman just, "Oh my gosh, you're a rock star," and it's like we're people. I'm not on the keynote stage, so whatever, but I am a speaker, and speakers and consultants and success, they're all just people, right? And so it's actually kind of jarring when people come at you like that, because I have it happen to me in the oil business, because I'm the only guy that does this in this business. And so it's kind of weird. It's kind of like, whoa, hey, yeah, I'm just a person who figured out how to do something and stole a bunch of people's ideas and executed on a bunch of things. That's all I did. And so that's why you end up in that fan zone, right? And so all right, so here we are, 2014. And then what happened? Well, it got up to last year. When I say last year, I mean to the end of 2013, and now we're actually in January. So this is kind of interesting that I pulled this up, because right now I went out there because I'm about to launch my new site, because I decided with the help of, I have to get him shout out in this one, which is Marcus Sheridan, the sales lion. I was standing on the precipice, trying to decide if I should go out on my own. And this is the very end of 2013. And he called me and he talked me through it. And it's embarrassing to say what he actually said, but he convinced me that I could do it. And so I went and I did it. And so I didn't know, though, still really what Jay thought. Is I don't know, like, how much my content has he read, all of these different things, but just, I'm like, well, let's see if he'll give me a quote for my new website. Now, I must admit that this is the much better looking website than my first one. But I emailed him and he hit me back with this at the, beginning of, that was probably December 2013 or something, beginning of 2014. He hit me back with this quote in 15 minutes, maybe. James Hahn isn't just going places, he's already there. Sound, thoughtful, creative advice that gets results. Why do I work so hard? To keep up with guys like him, Jay Baer, Utility, right? New York Times bestselling author. And I still have people to this day, they say, how did you get Jay to give you that quote? How did you get Marcus to write that thing for you? How did you do that? It's because I took the time to build relationships. And that's what everything is about, right? It's about building relationships. Now, I'm not saying, again, to go back, I'm not saying that all attendees at 2015, Social Media Marketing World 2015, now or in the future, have no value. That's not true. The people you bump into, you become pretty good friends with and so forth. My point is that every Social Media Marketing World, for the first 2 years, I've sort of had a strategic focus, like, all right, I'm going to become friends with Jay. Last year, I was going to become friends with Mark Schaefer. This year, my goal was to become friends with Christopher Espen. Unfortunately, that is yet to come to fruition because, again, I cannot be there. But how did I get Jay to say that? I asked him, hey, would you give me a quote for my website? And that he wrote that in like 5 minutes, and I'm just like stunned, But obviously, Jay, Marcus, like all these people, they're not the type of people that blow smoke, right? If you suck, they're gonna tell you that. That's just the truth. They're just gonna tell you like it is. Listen to Marcus Sheridan's podcast. I mean, some of the emails he reads, he'll rip you up if you don't know how it's done. And so my point is, in the end, wrapping it all up together in one little bow to crush all of your hopes and dreams. Attendees at Social Media Marketing World 2015, I encourage you and implore you to not stand in lines, to not talk to speakers like they are rock stars. I encourage you to hang around when no one else is hanging around, kind of like Ian Cleary. He actually doesn't even go to the sessions from Razor Social. He doesn't even go to the sessions. He just hangs around in the hallways and sees who he can meet. I mean, that's another tactic. Now, I personally like to go into the sessions. What I do is I hang out, and then, because there's always a time when a speaker, like when everybody's gone, that is where you make friends, and you do things like, for instance, John Loomer. I would consider him at least an acquaintance, if not a friend at this point. It was really fun to watch him go from 2013, where I met him and he was just really starting to his business was really starting to go, and then 2014 last year, I mean, he had a packed room, and it was, I mean, there was like electric in that room. It was kind of like a Pat Flynn's session. It's kind of like Pat Flynn's session. Let's turn off the notifications real quick. It was kind of like Pat Flynn's session at 2013, right? And so that was embarrassing. I'm going to keep it because this is real, right? And I'm almost wrapping up. But the point is that when I went to John Loomer's session, I sat actually on the floor in the front and I took a bunch of pictures. And I I hopefully, take good pictures. But I guess now on the iPhone 6 they call them bursts, right? I've been doing that for a long time just to get the best ones. And so I did that actually in Stan Smith's session as well. And so after the fact, there was the big line of people waiting to talk to John, and I just waited till they all went away, and we knew each other from 2013, so we just start chatting like people to people, and I'm like, hey man, I took all of these pictures, you want me to email them to you? He's like, dude, did you really? Awesome, I didn't even think to do that. And so boom, utility, right? I'm going back to Jay. And so I think I began my conclusion roughly 10 minutes ago. And so, as I said at the beginning, I'm a man of a few thousand words. I hope that you have an amazing social media marketing world experience and that you make the most of your time while you are there. And I will give you the same sign off that I always give on my oil and gas digital marketing podcast, which is, if you really want to be successful, we gotta do everything just like we have been told, which is rise early, work hard, and strike oil. Folks, I'll talk to y'all tomorrow because I'm going to do another blog post, and I'll see y'all on Twitter, and I hope you have a great time. Peace.